Flight controls. The flight controls of a S-64 Echo function in a standard manner, in that the collective is used to increase or decrease the pitch in all main rotor blades collectively, and the cyclic is used for attitude control. The pedals are also provide directional control at slow airspeeds and trim control in forward flight. The flight control system is composed of following related systems: the main rotor flight control system, the collective to yaw couple, the force gradient beeper trim system, the tail rotor flight control system, and the automatic flight control system. The main rotor flight control system. One cyclic and one collective are provided for each pilot station. There is an aft pilot station with a mechanically linked collective and an electrically connected cyclic which functions through the automatic flight control system. Twisting the aft cyclic controls the tail rotor, but this function is not used. The aft pilot station will be covered in Section 6 APHIS. The cyclic and collective are connected by mechanical linkage to the automatic flight control system, the APHIS, servo, in the closet located immediately behind the pilot's right seat. The APHIS servo is comprised of 4 channels. From left to right on the servo, the channels are lateral roll, collective, fore and aft pitch, and yaw. Control inputs are modified by the APHIS servo, if operating and sent by mechanical linkage to the mixing unit located in the attic. From the mixing unit, inputs follow mechanical linkage to the 3 main rotor primary servos attached to a stationary swatch plate. The servos hydraulically transmit control inputs to the stationary swatch plate with pressure from first and second stage flight control system. Due to the weight of the main rotor head components and the control forces involved, aft aircraft control cannot be maintained if both flight control hydraulic systems fail. Strict adherence to emergency procedures must be maintained in the event of a single flight control failure. Cyclic controls. Both front cyclic sticks have the same switches. Stick trim momentary release. Momentary releases the stick trim to allow for cyclic movement without spring pressure, located on the center left of the grip. Stick trim. Coolie hat. Located on top of the grip, this switch allows the pilot to make small adjustments fore, aft, left, and right to the aircraft's attitude. The stick trim system must be on for this action to function. Cargo upper hook release. There are 2 integrated systems that allow the pilot to activate the upper cargo hook release. Both switches are on the top left and top right of the cyclic stick. The top left switch is electrical release and the top right is a hydraulic release. Electrical switch is connected directly to the upper hook cargo release solenoid. The hydraulic switch activates pressure from the makeup hydraulic system down to a piston that is mechanically coupled to the upper cargo hook release knob. When the fire tank is in use, only the left switch is active. It activates the emergency dump system of the fire tank. APHIS release. A pinky switch located on the front of the cyclic shuts off the electrical APHIS system. Collective controls. The controls the amount of pitch applied to all blades collectively. There are 3 collective sticks installed in the aircraft. They are located on the floor to the left of each pilot seat. The aft seat stick is mechanically connected to the other collective sticks. Care must be taken that it is not bumped or stepped on when moving about the cabin. Pulse landing light switch, located on the forward left of the grip. The switch selects pulse or landing light and activates the 4-way landing light train switch on the forward center of the grip for adjustment of the landing light. First and second stage servo switch, located to the right of the landing light switch. It is the 3-position switch marked first stage off and second stage off. When the switch is in the middle position, both flight control hydraulic systems are on. Selecting either of the other positions will turn off the corresponding system. A landing light train, located at the top center of the collective grip. This switch controls the landing light aim. And 2 speed trim switches, located on the forward right of the grip, marked engine plus trim number 1 and 2. The left switch controls the N2 speed setting for the number 1 engine, and the right switch controls the number 2 engine. The switches are used to set desired operating RPM and to match engines in flight. Note, the right seat switches will override the left seat switches. Hook release, marked hook rail, and located at the top rear of the collective grip. It activates the lower cargo hook or hooks when being utilized for external load operations. It controls the normal drop function when the fire tank is installed. Marked siren is located in the middle right of the grip. The button allows the pilot to sound a warning to the ground crews in an emergency. The siren is also transmitted through the FM radios. Hoist control switch. Located under the forward portion of the grip, it allows the pilot to run the cargo hoist up and down when the hoist is installed. When the fire tank is installed, pulling the switch aft will activate the pump in the pond snorkel for filling the tank. If the fire cannon is also installed, rocking the switch forward activates the cannon pump to fire the cannon. Momentary AFIS servo off. Depressing the switch shuts off hydraulic pressure to the AFIS servo. When the switch is released, hydraulic pressure returns to the AFIS servo. Collective friction. Located on the right front collective only. A rotary sleeve can be moved to increase or decrease the force necessary to move the collective. The aft pilot collective grip. Located under the protective hood, which prevents inadvertent inputs by the backseat passengers. The hood is retracted when the collective is in use by the aft seat pilot. The grip has controls for the cargo light coolie hat, upper and lower hook releases, hoist up and down, trigger under grip, and siren. Force gradient stick trim system. The system provides a fine degree of cyclic adjustment and provides cyclic feel. The force gradient spring holds the cyclic in place unless moved against spring pressure. The spring will return the cyclic to the original position when pressure is released. The force gradient springs are located in the stick trim actuators. The two stick trim actuators are part of the AFIS servo system. One actuator positions the cyclic laterally and the other fore and aft. They are located in the pitch and roll channels of the AFIS servo. The actuators are electronically controlled and hydraulically powered, with reduced pressure from the utility system. The stick trim switch on the top of each cyclic allows fore and aft and left and right adjustments to the aircraft attitude. The stick trim master switch is located on the AFIS panel. It is marked stick trim and off. The switch is located under a red guard, which must be in the up position for the system to be turned off. When the guard is in the down, the switch is forced to the stick trim or on position. When the stick trim master switch is placed to the off position, the force gradient and stick trim actuators are inoperative. Note, the cyclic will fall aft and right if the stick trim is released with rotors turning. Keep a hand on the cyclic when turning the stick trim off. Mixing unit. Located above the AFIS closet in the attic, the mixing unit combines collective and cyclic inputs, provides the collective bias inputs to both fuel controls, and provides the collective to the yaw couple. Collective bias provides the fuel control with instant notification of collective movement to help prevent rotor RPM droop and overshoot. The bias cables connect to the collective bell crank of the mixing unit and are routed through the attic to the engine bias guns on the fuel control. Collective to yaw couple provides input to the tail rotor to increase or decrease tail rotor pitch upon collective movement. This coupling provides automatic tail rotor torque compensation for collective changes. Collective movement is not affected by this coupling. Note, a collective to yaw couple pre-flight check should be performed with AFO servo turned off before the rotor engagement. It involves pushing the full left pedal, then raising the collective full up. If the couple is functioning correctly, the pedal should move to a nearly centered position as the collective is raised. While the collective is up, the right pedal should be placed in the full right pedal position and the collector lowered. The pedals should return to the nearly centered position. Automatic Flight Control System. The APHIS is complex enough to merit a separate lesson of its own. In this lesson, we will give only a general overview as it pertains to flight controls. The APHIS is designed to improve the stability and handling of the aircraft in all modes of flight. Through the use of gyros, hydraulics, and electronics, the APHIS is able to introduce small control inputs many times faster than the pilot is. The APHIS in no way interferes with pilot's inputs, allowing the pilot complete control of the helicopter. The S-64 incorporates a unique aft-seat pilot station with a remote cyclic stick that functions entirely through the APHIS and is one of the first fly-by-wire systems ever produced. The remote stick is spring-loaded to the center neutral position and has 10% authority each direction from center. When the aft seat pilot runs out of authority and needs more, he can use the stick trim four-way switch on top of the remote stick to actuate the stick trim system. This enables the aft pilot to compensate for wind or other factors. The yaw control function has been disabled. The remote stick control panel contains the following switches: remote stick engine and off switches for norm and aux modes. Pitch and roll indicators indicate the amount of displacement from center of remote stick. Tail rotor flight control system. The two forward pilot stations are equipped with pedals which are attached by solid linkage and cable to the tail rotor tandem servo on the tail rotor gearbox. The collective to the yaw couple is incorporated into the tail rotor controls but will not interfere with normal pedal operation. Pedal dampener. In order to protect the tail boom structure from destructive thrust due to rapid pedal inputs, the system incorporates a pedal dampener. The dampener is located in the yaw channel of the APHIS servo. When the dampener is functioning, pedal inputs require additional force and are thus slowed. Caution: when the APHIS hydraulic pressure is off, the pedal dampener is inoperative. Operate the tail rotor control pedal smoothly to avoid airframe damage caused by sudden tail rotor thrust change. Tail rotor quadrants. A control tube transfers inputs from the mixing unit to the forward quadrant located in the attic. The quadrant changes fore and aft motion of the control tube into rotary motion. The tail rotor cables are attached to opposite sides of the quadrant so that as it rotates, one cable is put in tension while the other is released. This allows for cables to replace a heavier and more complicated control tube system. A second quadrant is located in the aft pylon that converts the cable system back into a control tube system. One control tube that transfers inputs to the tail rotor servo.